Very good morning to you.
Good morning.
Well, we've just been discussing your colleague Boris Johnson. Do you hope he will join your campaign?
Well, look, actually, I think that's a decision for him to make. And, you know, I feel for him right now with a lot of the speculation that's taking place, because I can only speak from my own personal position, you know, coming to the decision that I have come to as well. It is difficult. It is absolutely difficult. And it's one that you can only make yourself on the basis of what you really believe in when it comes to Britain's place in Europe, Britain's place in the world. And, of course, that's something that Boris Johnson's going to have to work out himself.
But you always believed in it, didn't you?
I have done. I've been, you know, I'm quoted, I'm on the record. I spent, you know, 20 years ago, I was campaigning for a referendum. And I have to say, I think there is a great tribute to be paid to David Cameron as the Conservative Prime Minister that has done exactly what our Conservative manifesto said it would do, which was to deliver the British public that referendum on our relationship.
But I mean, in terms of what
Union.
he's, you know, we saw the sleepless nights and the hours he put in Brussels. You said before he went there that it was a waste of time. He was going naked into the conference chamber.
Well, what I'd say about the renegotiation, he has invested a lot of time and effort. He has been determined and steadfast in that renegotiation. I pay tribute to him on that, I really do. I personally believe this is the best deal that he was able to get. And, you know, his role now, I mean, he's very clear about this as he went into those renegotiations as well, that he was starting from that position that he wanted to stay in the European Union and he wanted to get a new settlement to then campaign to stay in the European Union.
But barking up the wrong tree, you always said, didn't you? He wasn't asking for enough.
He's been clear about that, and I've got utmost respect for him for that. I really do, and I think he's conducted himself incredibly well throughout those renegotiations and in getting the deal.
You're saying all that, and of course, so you should. I mean, he's been very good to you, hasn't he, during the course of your career?
Well, he's our Prime Minister.
Yeah, well, and indeed, and has promoted you within the party and within the government. Do you not feel a bit disloyal?
I have to say, I mean, coming to the decision that I have done, it's, you know, it's not an easy one to make. And I am, you know, it has been uncomfortable as well in making that decision. But this is a position that I firmly believe in. You know, I've started off saying as well, I've got long-standing, long-held views on Europe, the institutions of Europe. Fundamentally as well, though, I have always believed there has been a democratic deficit as well in Britain's relationship with the European Union. And that's why it's important we have this referendum. We have a Conservative Prime Minister that has delivered this referendum, or will be delivering the referendum on June the 23rd. It's not up to us, though, as politicians. I firmly believe that. I've said this for many, many years. The British public should decide. It is their referendum, which is why I don't think it's about politicians and political personalities at all. I think ultimately this referendum will bring forth the arguments. The public will be able to decide, and rightly so. It is their choice and their decision. The question in this referendum is pretty binary. We're either in or we're out, and that's a choice that people will have to make.
And is it a binary choice about the Prime Minister's future? I mean, would you feel any regret if ultimately, we don't know how the campaign will pan out, we obviously don't know the result, but if it does ultimately end the Prime Minister's career?
Our Prime Minister is here to stay. Let's be very clear about this. This is a referendum that the Conservative Party are delivering. We stated that in our manifesto very clearly. This is not about the future of David Cameron. I think we should be absolutely clear about this. This is a referendum that he and our government have given to the British public. The public will decide as to which way we go. He himself said this morning as well, when he was on television, he will conduct the wishes of the British public with whatever the decision is.
He said he'd do his best. But, you know, in his heart, he wants to stay in the European Union. If you get the result you want, would you see him as the best man to dismantle the UK's relationship with the European Union? He is our Prime Minister, and he is here. He will stay. I'm absolutely convinced about that. And I don't think this is about, as I've said, this is about Europe and Britain's relationship with Europe. This is not about David Cameron. And this isn't about politicians and which way they are going to go either. So, I mean, you say, it's interesting you say it's not about personalities. So you're very relaxed then about George Galloway being on your side of the campaign.
Well, actually, George Galloway has his own views, but at the end of the day, this is for the British public to make their decision.
But are you glad to have him, you know, articulating the argument to leave the European Union?
Gentlemen, let's be clear about this. There are a wide range of personalities and individuals associated with both campaigns. They will make their points, and that's up to them. But ultimately, this is for the British public to decide. And I should just say as well, I don't think it is for politicians to be overstating their roles and their positions and their points. I have firmly said, and I believe this as well, that for far too long, successive governments have lectured the British public in terms of Europe and the direction of travel. Successive governments, and at the same time, successive governments have denied the British public a voice and their say when it comes to Britain's relationship with the European Union. So I put this down. I trust the British public. I trust the people to decide, and we will go ultimately with the choice and the decision that they make.
But on the people that articulate the campaigns on both sides, you've just, or relatively recently, won the unexpected majority in the general election, and you're the mastermind behind the campaign, Linton Crosby. Cut to the quick, said it's very simple. It's about leadership. Our leader's better than their leader, Ed Miliband at the time. It was about personalities. The British public made their decision partly on the basis of who they thought was best placed to take us through the future.
I think the general election is very different.
And you've been on this programme talking to me about how David Cameron was the right man. But now it doesn't matter who leads.
This is very different to a general election. You know, leadership of your country.
Well, it's an even more binary choice. You just said it.
Well, this is a binary choice in the referendum question itself, whether or not we stay in or leave the European Union. The two campaigns will articulate the case. They will make the points over the next 124 days. And during that time of the campaign, throughout the country, this isn't just the media and the Westminster bubble as well, talking about the issues that matter around Britain's relationship with Europe and our place in the world. This will be for the public to decide.
So
they themselves.
On your side of the campaigns, you think it's fine to have so many different Leave campaigns, grassroots out, Leave dot.
Well, there'll be a designation.
Vote Leave. There will be a designation,
of course,
by the Electoral Commission.
Works.
So, I mean, are you saying that it is important to have a very clear message articulated by a few people at the top, or it doesn't matter? We can have the Tower of Babel. It doesn't matter what people say.
No, I take the view very clearly. Of course, once we're into the designated campaign period and a group is designated and has its official role, what I'm saying is I don't think the voice will be just that of politicians. There will be business voices. There will be members of the public from around the country as well. You know, as I've said, this isn't a London and the South East referendum. This is a nationwide campaign. Sure. And ultimately, this is the choice for Britain to decide, which is why having the wide ranges of voices, which are not dominated by politicians, I think is incredibly important.
And are you saying that when it comes to business leaders with their degree of information, with some insider knowledge? Have you got some big beasts, do you think, to come out on your side of the campaign?
I welcome all business voices to this debate, and I don't think it's about big business.
But should we watch this space? No, it's not about business.
It's about all of us.
Should we watch this space? Have you got some inside information?
Well, we should, we're at the start of a campaign right now. There'll be many voices that'll come to the table and express their views, and that's exactly what we should expect during the campaign. And when it comes to businesses, I don't think this campaign should be dominated by the voice of big business or corporate voices. There are plenty of small businesses out there. Right. In my constituency alone, 85% of my constituents are employed by SMEs. Those SMEs speak to me about Europe a lot. So there'll be a range of voices in this campaign.
And do you think more members of your own party? I hear someone from the Whip's office is about to declare. More senior members of your party.
My own personal sense is that there are many of my colleagues that have long-held views on Europe and Britain's relationship with the European Union. They will, I'm sure, express themselves over the next few days as well.
And let me ask you this. I mean, as a unionist with a small u, and it was articulated again today, it's been pretty explicit from the Scottish National Party for a long time, that if the result you want is achieved for the United Kingdom to leave the EU, then Scotland, if it did vote individually to remain within the European Union, there would be grounds for another referendum on Scottish independence. Would you see it as a price worth paying, the breakup of the United Kingdom, to get the UK, most of it, out of the EU?
I mean, first of all, when it comes to Britain leaving the European Union, I don't think we should talk ourselves down one bit at all. I'm an internationalist, and I believe that we have a lot that we can do in terms of growing our country, our economy, and flourishing outside of the European Union. So let me start with that point as well. I think Scotland is very different, actually, because the Scottish journey has evolved since the independence referendum. Let's be clear about that. We've had the Smith Commission. There are discussions taking place in government right now still in terms of delivering the Smith Commission. We have the Scotland Bill. So, delivering Smith is absolutely the priority of this government. And I think that is the current focus. It's not about speculating about a future referendum or what will come afterwards. The focus of this government, quite rightly, is working with the Scottish government on devolving the powers that the Smith Commission very clearly stated should be devolved. That is the discussion that is taking place place today. This isn't about a future discussion or a future referendum.
But the Scots, I mean, the First Minister is explicit that depending on the outcome, there may well be strong grounds for another referendum.
Well, she's speculating.
On Scottish independence.
She also has her own elections.
We're sitting here speculating about the outcome of the EU referendum. Of course, that's what we do. We're looking forward. We look to the future. It's what you do.
We should also make the case as well and make the point that in Scotland alone, they have their own elections this year too. And at the same time, you know, that against the backdrop of delivering the Smith Commission as well, which is incredibly important for the government here in Westminster, but also for the Scottish government as well. That is the focus right now.
You didn't frankly have the balls to put country before party.